Let's start with surface preparation for painting, because this is the most critical stage of any painting system. Proper surface preparation prior to coating is essential and cannot be overemphasized. Quite simply, even the best paint will fail if it is applied on a contaminated surface. Before any coating is applied, the steel surface must be completely free of oil and grease, salt, weed and shell fouling, mill scale, rust, old paint, and all other surface contaminants. To ensure this, surface preparation is governed by international standards. These include ISO 8504 Part 1 for general principles, ISO 8504 Part 2 for abrasive blast cleaning, and ISO 8504 Part 3 for hand and power tool cleaning, along with various national standards. Now let's look at oil and grease. Even a very thin layer of oil or grease can destroy or seriously impair paint adhesion. Grease is usually removed using solvents or commercial chemical cleaners, but the solvent itself must be completely removed after cleaning. When we are dealing with tanks that have previously contained crude oil, a combination of steam cleaning and degreasing is normally required. Next, salts. Sea salts are hygroscopic, which means they attract moisture, and this can lead to blistering and underfilm corrosion. Salts are fairly easy to remove using fresh water, but the real problem is surface irregularities, porosity, and fine hairline cracks where salts can remain trapped. The most effective method is high-pressure fresh water washing. If that is not available, then thorough scrubbing becomes necessary. Wheat and shell fouling is simpler but tougher. Marine growth can only be effectively removed using a high-pressure water lance, typically operating between 2,000 and 5,000 psi. Now let's talk about mill scale, rust, and old paint. Manual and power tool methods such as wire brushing, sanding, scraping, chipping, needle guns, and grinders are commonly used. However, these methods are incomplete and always leave behind tightly adhering rust. Another danger is excessive wire brushing, which can polish the steel surface and actually reduce paint adhesion. That brings us to blast cleaning, the most effective method. Blast cleaning removes mill scale, rust, and old paint using abrasives such as garnet, grit, or shot under high pneumatic pressure. This produces what we call a clean gray metal surface. It is important to remember that steel must be degreased before blasting, because blasting does not remove oil or grease. Care must also be taken, as stray abrasive particles can damage surrounding coatings. Sweep blasting is a lighter version of this process. Here, a jet of abrasive is swept across the surface to lightly abrade it. The effectiveness depends on the surface condition, the abrasive type, and particle size, and above all, the skill of the operator. Abrasive or slurry blasting uses water. This is wet blasting with a slurry of water and abrasive. It greatly reduces dust hazards and also helps remove surface salts at the same time. Hydroblasting and hydrojetting take abrasives out completely. These methods rely entirely on the energy of water striking the surface, with pressures ranging from 10,000 to 25,000 psi. They are very effective for cleaning surfaces and removing salts. For non-ferrous metals, the approach changes slightly. For galvanized steel and aluminium, degreasing followed by sweep blasting is preferred, at low pressure in the case of aluminum. If blasting is not possible, etch primers or acid etch solutions may be used to passivate the surface. However, etch primers are not recommended for underwater structures. Now let's move on to safety precautions when using paints. Paints contain hazardous chemicals, so safety precautions must always be followed. The Material Safety Data Sheet, or MSDS, should be consulted before using any paint. Fire and explosion hazards come first. Most paints contain flammable volatile organic compounds, or VOCs. When the lower explosion limit is reached, there is a serious explosion risk. Paints must only be stored in designated paint lockers, and no naked flame procedures must be strictly enforced, especially in enclosed spaces. Since solvents float on water, water must never be used for firefighting. Foam or chemical extinguishers should be used instead. Skin and eye contact is another major risk. Paints can cause severe injury if they come into contact with the skin, eyes, or mucous membranes. Solvents should never be used to clean paint from the skin. Hands and mouth should always be washed after painting. Personal protective equipment must be worn at all times. If contact occurs, flush with copious fresh water, consult the MSDS, and seek medical attention. Inhalation and ingestion are equally dangerous. Paint vapors can cause dizziness, headaches, and a feeling of drunkenness due to VOCs. Adequate ventilation is essential, and LEL levels should be checked where required. Face masks or air hoods must be used in poorly ventilated spaces. Food and drink must never be consumed near painting operations. Airless spray systems require additional respiratory protection because of the high pressures involved. Now let's understand how anti-fouling paint works. The primary characteristics of anti-fouling paint are its ability to control micro and macro fouling, its smoothness, and compliance with the AFS convention. Fouling is most severe in tropical waters and lowest in polar regions. Anti-fouling paints work by leaching biocides into the seawater surrounding the underwater hull. These chemicals must not pose environmental risks. Organodin and tributyltin, or TBT, are banned. Modern TBT-free paints use rosin as a seawater-soluble binder and cuprous oxide as the biocide. In modern systems, hydrolyzing polymers have replaced rosin and restored the self-polishing property. In self-polishing coatings, the outer layer gradually erodes as water flows past the hull, keeping the surface smooth. Biocide-free systems such as silicone and fluoropolymer coatings rely on extremely slippery surfaces that prevent fouling from adhering. Anti-fouling coatings must also be durable enough to last an entire 5-year dry docking cycle. Paint quantity calculations depend on wetted surface area and spread rate, which are commonly calculated using methods such as Denny-Mumford, Holtrop-Menon, and Comsey. Finally, let's look at how anti-corrosive paint acts. The main function of an anti-corrosive coating is to form a barrier between seawater, which acts as an electrolyte, and the steel hull. At the same time, it must be compatible with cathodic protection systems and their byproducts. Corrosion is driven by the movement of ions. Anti-corrosive coatings work by blocking or severely restricting the movement of these ions through the paint film. These coatings are high build and do not contain metals or molecules that would interfere with cathodic protection. Common anti-corrosive coatings include coal tar epoxies and polyurethane epoxies. Polyurethanes are gradually being phased out due to the presence of toxic isocyanates. Thank you for watching the video.